So, welcome back to the Honeypot podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into one of the most exciting and maybe a little bit misunderstood topics in the world of ideas and innovation, artificial intelligence. But first and foremost, my name is Alexander Wennerberg, and with me I have
Fredrik Heghammar.
Great. How are you doing,
Is it Fredrik, really? This is six fingers,
exactly. Right? Can we guarantee that it's Fredrik online and not the AI bot version?
Yeah, it's a hot topic. No one can escape the talk about AI. We talk about it at work, we talk about it at home, they talk about it in the media, they talk about it in the government, they talk about it everywhere.
Are you tired of it or excited?
No, I'm really excited about it, and I think I've been working with AI longer than I think in my past, especially when I worked at Google. Google is AI, you know, and now they have Gemini, of course, but the search engine could be defined as AI as well in a way, and we've been working. When I worked there, I was at the Google Creative Lab department where we did a lot of innovations, a lot of technical tryouts for different purposes, and such as Google Glass and so on. And we made a lot of solutions based on AI. It is basically taking care and analyze data.
It is.
So I'm very excited about it, but part of me is a little bit afraid as well, because there's many experts out there about AI that I don't understand how fast they became expert about AI.
But isn't that the same? Don't wanna out anyone here, but isn't that a little bit like this? The same people who was like blockchain experts a few years ago and IoT experts and more years ago, and suddenly when there's a new trend, they become experts in
absolutely. And maybe we're just jealous, but there's a lot of experts out there, which is good because they're driving the speed of change, of course, which is nice, but also it could be a little bit scary because AI has, as I said, it's two sides of the coin, but it has multiple sides, more than two sides, I would say. So it's difficult, but like we said when we were working with blockchain, because we were also in there talking about blockchain, of course, and IoT. I've been building many IoT solutions in my past, but with AI, I think it's really important, like for IoT and blockchain, to have a strategy. Of course, how should we approach this as a company? Because if you want to compete on the same circumstances like everybody else, you have to look into it somehow, and you have to look at your organization and your business and see where can we utilize AI to streamline processes and work. Of course, that's what I think, at least.
Definitely. I think also that one of the big advantages of people, let's say, becoming experts or talking a lot about it, I think that one of the really nice things there is that people can suddenly understand AI in the context of themselves without using like extremely complex or complicated technical jargon and like strange advanced words and so on. So I think that it's a little bit like when we're talking about like more popular science with a lot of people, that a big part of getting change realized is being able to communicate
absolutely
in a way that people can understand. But when it comes to AI, what's your relationship to AI today?
No, I have a good relationship. I use it on a daily basis. I use it to help me write articles, texts and stuff like that, but I always adjust it. I never just post it straight off, because unfortunately the AI doesn't sound like me. maybe, you know, as I said, I use it daily. And just to elaborate a little bit about that, I mean, we're using AI now when we're recording this podcast as well, because the AI is going to cut it for us. The AI is going to translate it for us, or do subtitles or transcript, as it's called. So I see a lot of benefits with AI, of course. The downfalls, I would say, is that most of us out there, like us as well, I mean, we are using existing AI algorithms. We're using, I like ChatGPT. I've used it the longest, so it knows me a little bit better. But then in our product hives, we use Gemini, right? If you only rely on what you get from the AI, I think that's, especially when you're working with development or innovation or such things, I think it's really important to not only look at what the AI gives you. And this is what we'll be talking about every day, you know. We talk about human creativity, and we talk about analyze, to use AI to go through materials. Because I think this is really important, because, I mean, there are tools out there like Hives where you do everything with AI. And you have a topic, you have a challenge, you write it in. It's like ChatGPT or Gemini. And the system, you know, gives pretty good answers. But the thing is, like, those answers are not specific for your company, your organization, your situation. And that's when it gets scary, when you are generating solutions with AI. You analyze it with the same AI, and you test it with the same AI. And, you know, suddenly you have created solutions for AI.
Yeah, and it's the typical like echo chamber situation that appears, and I think that's pretty much our stance as well when it comes to how to use AI. Because AI, what's really interesting with AI is that I find it very exciting, because I've been thinking about so many. I've always been very interested in tech. I've always been at least somewhat on the forefront, trying out new tech and new stuff all the time, or I try at least, because I'm very interested in it. But I've also pretty much always been thinking about how can we make sure to make the human more human again. And I think that AI is one of the first really game-changing tech things that really can make us human again. In many ways, but to make that happen, we need to use AI for the right things as well. Not replacing the creative thinking or the critical thinking on human beings, but rather replacing the like repetitive tasks and those kind of stuff, I would say.
Yeah, and it's a hard one, because let's say that we are running a workshop about sustainability, for example. Like we did. We were at this Innovate event the other day. Yeah. It's Young Innovator Forum in Sweden. They're helping schools to give them material. It's an awesome thing. It's called Unga Innovatörer in Swedish. So, and they were like releasing their process called Innovate, which is great. It's based on design thinking. I love it. Really, really good. And a part of this release party was to try it in real time. So we were in different groups, you and I. And I think the topic was, how can we save the environment by washing our clothes a little bit less or differently, right? Washing and environment.
Yeah, exactly. They were just describing a challenge where they were explaining how much electricity and how much climate effect it has on when we were doing our
the fact is that
laundry.
People wash their clothes way too much nowadays, if you compare to back in the days. But it's complex. But let's leave it there. So a session like that, when you just gather different people in a room, no one in the room were expert in environment, no one were expert in technology, in white goods, no one were detergent expert or anything. So I would say that, I mean, it was a quick process, but generating ideas from all these people, that we could have used AI and get the same results. at first.
Mm.
Do you agree?
The some of the first stuff would have come up.
Yeah. So and that's the scary part, because I understand that, you know, if you're planning on you know, I need a solution on this topic. I can either you know, assign or draft 50 people, you know, costing me 200 euro an hour in 2 days, or I can just type a question into this chat GPT or Gemini AI, and I will get, you know, most likely the same result. And I understand people are doing that, but I think that's wrong.
Yeah, but I think that the biggest difference here is that if we would, you know, if you would go with very general or very wide questions like how would we be able to save or like wash clothes less, or save energy or water on our laundry or something like that, that's a fairly general challenge or opportunity in that sense. I would probably argue that when looking at most organizations and most companies, most of their challenges or opportunities are way more in context to what kind of goals or specific products or services or processes that they are going to be working with. And in that sense, a little bit as you explained, like none of, or at least from what I know, none of the people in the room during that very like fast-paced workshop around that subject were experts in sustainability or laundry or washing machines. But what I think that we shouldn't forget when it comes to those kind of things is that probably all of the people in the room are experts when it comes to how they are. Yeah, they're users. They're experts in experiencing this problem. They're experts in having emotions and things.
No, and I totally agree. But also, you know, thinking about it when we're talking about it now is that, you know, this is where I'm split, because, you know, let's go back to where we're like 50 people, right? And one of the group had an idea about what if we have this washing machine that you can't turn it on until it's full. You know, it's a super good idea, right? Because, you know, a problem today is that you throw in a couple of clothing and you wash it because it's so easy. Everybody have wash machines at home, or in Sweden at least, a lot of people. So that is an idea that could definitely be generated by AI. You can say, you know, give me all the best ideas about how to make people wash less, and you will get all these. So let's say we'll pick this one. This one sounds interesting. And this is now, you know, where you should start to add people. You should ask the users that would you consider buying a machine that you can only turn on when it was full enough to test, you know?
Yeah.
And you can talk to the expert and say, is this doable? You know, is this a technical thing you can do, or yeah, it can be done, but we can also do it for normal machines, that because instead of building special machines, we can have like feet under the washing machine that's measure the weight of the machine and then turns on and off the electricity, you know, so you can scale it and different things.
Of course.
And that's where the human elements. And then I would say go back to AI again and say, you know, is there any products on the market where you can turn on and off electricity with weight? You know, so I think, you know, that's how you have to do it. But the most use cases we see out there is either or.
Yeah, and I think you're into something really, really interesting here, because I would say that the single most important factor here is to not create the echo chamber that we talked about before. Yeah. Meaning that you like, there's so many examples I've seen where they're showing like AI features or AI processes where they're completely missing out on the human element when it comes to, and in the end, I at least think that all companies and all organizations are at least somewhat in the end out to be building stuff for the humanity or for human beings in the end. And if we're going to be launching or building something that human beings want to use or wants to experience or wants to buy or have, if we don't use the human element when creating or designing that processes or products or services, it will be completely like swing and miss.
Absolutely. And I remember this was probably a year ago. Or when did they release ChatGPT? Was it a year ago or 2 years ago?
No, it was, I think it was December 2020. Let's see, it was so interesting because I remember that we had just employed Matilda, who was working with us before on the marketing side. And it was like I think that when she started in January or February, and that was like month 3 or something. After ChatGPT launched. So it must have been
2 years ago then.
Yeah, 2.5 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
What's I supposed to say about that?
No, 1.5 years ago. It was like January 2023. So it must have been like launching December 2022 or something.
Now I remember.
Like that. Yeah.
So I read this post on LinkedIn. It was kind of funny. It was, because I've been working in the communication industry before, advertising and digital communication. And there was an old colleague of mine that wrote that I'm not afraid about AI because the client have never known what to ask for, even when they come to us. So how can they even use a tool like this? Because you have to be very specific when you ask about things, I think that was kind of funny because that's an industry that has been suffering a lot from this, and I think there will be a backlash or backdraft. A lot of people are doing their own material now, and I think that's gonna go back to a little bit. You need some experts to make sure that it's.
I think that what we've seen, and I can definitely say as well that just looking at any like social media or LinkedIn or ads or communication from many people and companies today, we're seeing so much like generic.
Yeah, and we're doing it as well. So we shouldn't look down on anyone because we're doing it as well.
Definitely not. And it's I think you have to use it in some kind of way. I think that the biggest challenge right now is that how can we use it in a way that it still feels human, or at least connecting with human beings in a better way in the text, because I'm starting to feel, and even when I'm reading our own stuff produced with the help of AI, I'm starting to feel like that there's some kind of like distance between the communication and the receiver. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand, but also the strange part or the funny part or scary part or whatever you want to call it is that when I follow structure that AI gives me, and I see a lot on these forums that we're talking about, I get more impressions and more reads.
Yeah.
Because people are getting used to these formats. And it works. If it didn't work, people wouldn't use it, I guess. But I think, we're in a time now where everyone is trying to see what works and not, and so on. But again, going back to this echo chamber, because on the internet itself, I've seen this echo chamber many times, because a lot of the traffic on internet is bots, and even more now with AI, of course. So I think it's up to 70% or something like that. It's a huge amount of
the bot traffic.
The traffic, the traffic that programs or bots that are out searching, clicking things, and filling out things and sending fake emails and stuff like that. So that means that when you have analyzed on your website and you are trying to improve it and perform better, you actually are improving it for bots. So now suddenly you have this echo chamber where you're building websites for bots, basically. It's just
and maybe
crazy.
Maybe you're even using AI to build the website.
Yeah, no,
itself.
it's exactly
And
that's
then
what you're doing now, and
then
that's
it ends up in like building websites with AI for AI, analyzed with AI. It's the closed loop
exactly.
where we're not
And
building
I saw this interview with I think it was with Sundar, right, from Google, the Google CEO, and he said, like, you know, if you are, he generalized, of course, but if you're using AI to solve cancer, AI will start to produce cancer because it wants to be able to solve it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
so that's what we're seeing in this echo chambers, that you're building stuff with AI for AI, analyzed by AI, and it's going into this evil loop of things. So that's why we need some humans in there to make sure that these loops are turned into something real.
Definitely.
I think.
But I think that when it comes down, like nailing it or boiling it down to what I've been thinking about a lot is that the big advantages of AI is they can save us huge amounts of time.
Yes.
Being more human. But I also think that everyone needs to be like thinking a little bit on which parts they're using it to save time on, because you can save time on creating stuff, you can save time on summarizing or concluding or structure the time. And I think that, at least from my perspective, one of the single most interesting thing that AI is very, very great at is to take unstructured data and structure it, pretty much.
If you know what to ask for.
If you know what to ask for, exactly. So I think that for the first time we can get rid of a lot of like manual tasks with the help of AI, reading through so much unstructured data. But the time that we're saving on that side, in my opinion, that should be used to spend more time on how to use like the human brain for creativity and experiences and emotions and about thinking about challenges and opportunities.
Exactly, and that kind of leads us to, because we have adapted this way of thinking into our tool.
Yes,
in a way. Or not in a way, we have done it because our tool is about gathering information from your organization, from your employees, from your frontline workforce, from your customers if you want that, which is a good thing, and your experts and so on. And I mean, if we could build like a Balthasar machine where it does everything for you, that would be awesome, but that's not the case, because we somehow need to turn these ideas or this insight to something tangible, and that needs to be done by a human. That said, we are using AI to analyze all the ideas or insights and stuff to give directions. So we can give like key findings, we can give like a red thread or things to consider. We can also look into if there's any pattern that is, I mean, there's only one ideas of this, but there's 10,000 of this, you know. So but still, this data is only given to the manager in this case, or the user, to make decisions on where to go and start and keep digging, sort of. And we have also adopted generative AI when you're writing in your insights or ideas to help the user to, if they want to, they can press this magic wand and you will get a suggested text. And it's pretty good, because that takes your headline, which is your like idea, and then it puts it in context based on the question being asked, and just makes it a little bit more readable and enjoyable, I would say.
And I think that's something that we talked about a lot when we implemented that in the product Hives.co as well, because what we're seeing as well, having been out there so much in workshops and different projects and change management initiatives, we can see very clearly that it's not necessarily the people with the like the best insights or the best ideas, that have the best ability to like describe it or write it or pitch the idea itself. So if they're having an idea, they can just shortly describe it and then get the help of AI to get a really more interesting description of the idea itself.
I haven't looked into the statistics lately, but I don't know if it's used super much, but it's there for people to. And when I demo it, people like it at least.
Yeah.
But I think the strongest part of it is the AI reports, as we call it, just to make sure that people understand that this is generated by an AI.
Yeah, definitely.
And we have a client that use it a lot. This. Because they have structured their questioning, and this is the thing as well. You have to make sure that you ask the right thing. When you have to, write the algorithm that do the search or whatever you may call it, or the analyze. But then also you have to make sure that you collect the data that you need to have analyzed.
Yes, and that takes us to a little part here where we are going to be giving you a practical example of how that can be structured. All right, so we wanted to give you a practical example of how you can use Hives.co as a tool to capture insights, ideas, and feedback, and then with just the click of a button, generate great conclusions and summaries that you can use to present the insights that you have collected. But first and foremost, as you described, Fredrik, maybe the most important thing is to start with a question or a challenge or opportunity that you start from. So could you maybe just like recommend a few stuff that might be in that kind of question, or what kind of information to keep in mind when asking that question?
Generally, is if the question is pointy, or direct or very narrowed down, you will get better answers, of course. But then also how could we? Is that what you were going for, or but then. So that's one part. But the question you are asking needs some. It needs to be. The reflection of the material you need when you're done need to be reflected in the way you're asking. And I said, pointy question and bite-sized question. Ask a little more frequently than a lot at once. So.
Definitely. And how this is used is that when you're capturing, like I mentioned, insights, ideas, or feedback from a group of people, how it's used in Hives is we have multiple very interesting examples of customers like Sendro Group, which is in the industrial manufacturing industry. We have multiple cities and municipalities in Sweden, Linköping, Eskilstuna, Västerås, who are using it for capturing data from employees and citizens in a way where they can make conclusions from needs and challenges out there. And what I wanted to share with you here was just a general structure of what you can think about when it comes to these kind of structures on a report when you want to do it. So the core here is that when you capture input from different people, it could be hundreds of people, it could even be thousands of people. The most interesting thing here is that you will get a lot of data that's usually unstructured. It's experiences, it's emotions, it's what people are thinking about, and needs and challenges and opportunities around the question that you're asking. But the most important thing here is that the structure of this keeps it to describing the main challenge or opportunity that you wanted to solve. It concludes the key themes or key insights that you have been gathering, which makes it possible to see different patterns or themes in the data that you've collected. But what it also gives you is that it gives you a few pointy recommendations on a next step, which means that it could help you understand what would be the next step, or based on the key findings or key themes that you've captured from an audience, what would be the recommendations for the next step? Besides the recommendations, it would also produce and tell you a little bit about a few potential limitations and consequences that you have to consider, so to speak, when looking at these recommendations. But also, besides the limitations and consequences, also the possible benefits of moving forward with these things, and how that would be in relation to the potential risks as well.
Mm.
So that's pretty much the structure, together with the conclusion that can point you in the right direction. And what that means is that you can capture large amounts of input from different audiences inside your company or outside of your company. And then, without spending days of labor on reading through all of that, you can just click a button and you will get a conclusion based on that structure.
And the way I see this conclusion, or default conclusion, I would say, default report, we can tailor the report to any needs, of course, and you can have multiple reports if you need that. But I see this reports as a map, a physical map, basically showing me the direction. That, okay, you have 200 ideas or 200 insights. The majority of them are talking about this. They're talking about this, and they're talking about this way of solving it, or this is something you can consider. And so you can incorporate all different kinds of parameters to consider, basically, when you're doing these reports, and it's really useful, I would say. So I think, and I think that's the best use of AI, of course, to help the human to go through a lot of data and a lot of consideration. But in the end, you still have to go through all these ideas to make sure that nothing is overseen.
Definitely. Great. So in conclusion, use AI, but don't forget the people, human beings.
Exactly. Look into how AI can help you, and not how you can help AI.
Moving into politics.
Yeah. No,
That's
but
great.
It's exciting. It's really exciting, and
Very.
I think hopefully this will give the same results as it did when they started to use robotics in car industry. That everybody said, people gonna lose their jobs and stuff like that, but they actually could hire even more people because they could produce more. So they needed more people to do other parts of the chain, sort of. And I think that's what's gonna happen with AI as well. Now for a while it might be a little shaky, but then eventually it will calm down, and you will start to, because where we are right now is like, oh, this is nice. This actually adds to it. It helps us. We can do things a little bit faster and stuff like that. But then when you started to have your own algorithm, or not only use the public ones, you started to learn it, you started to use it, you started to benefit from it. And that's where you are also going to start to demand that, you expect things. If you pay for something, for example, you expect it to be, and then it needs to create results and stuff like that. So it will kind of sorts itself out in the end, I think.
Yeah. Bright times ahead.
Yes.
Great. Well, with that said, thank you very much for tuning in and listening to this episode with us at Honeypot podcast. Just want to mention that as well. If you have anything specific that you're thinking about when it comes to innovation, change management, ideation, working with change in general, that you would like us to talk about as a subject, or if you have any questions that you're wondering around a specific challenge or opportunity that you faced. What have we seen in other organizations or companies around that, or something similar? Please feel free to reach out. We're very easy to reach on. Just search for our names on LinkedIn or email us at alexander@hives.co or fredrik@hives.co as well.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much for this week.
Keep up the good work.
Definitely. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.